Alright, let's see if in video could give us what happened in the 9/11 in the next 10 minutes. Let's go, guys.
It began as just another Tuesday. September 11th, 2001, dawned with clear blue skies. Millions of people started their day as they always had. The morning's tranquility was first broken at 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower. At first, many believed it was a terrible accident. News channels began showing smoke pouring from the upper floors. Just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 was seen on live television slamming into the South Tower. The second impact was a defining moment. It was the instant the world knew this was no accident. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon. Passengers on United Flight 93 learned about the attacks and made a collective decision to fight back. At 10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. As thousands fled, first responders rushed toward the danger. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed in 10 seconds. The immense cloud billowed through lower Manhattan. 29 minutes later, the North Tower met the same fate. In their place was a field of twisted metal and smoldering ruins. In the midst of the chaos, as tens of thousands fled for their lives, a special kind of courage was on display. Members of the fire department of New York, burdened by 60 to 100 pounds of gear, rushed in the opposite direction, charging up the stairs of the burning towers. They ascended into an inferno of smoke, heat, and uncertainty, driven by a single selfless purpose. Their mission was to rescue those trapped above, to bring order to the chaos, and to offer a path to safety for anyone they could reach. They were the city's protectors, running toward the danger everyone else was desperately fleeing. When the towers collapsed, their bravery turned into ultimate sacrifice. 343 firefighters and paramedics, 23 NYPD officers, and 37 Port Authority officers were killed. These departments were decimated, losing friends, mentors, and leaders in a single morning. Among them was the beloved FDNY chaplain, Father Michael Judge. He was in the North Tower lobby offering prayers and comfort to the injured and the dying. He was officially designated as Victim 0001, the first certified fatality of the day, killed by falling debris while administering last rites to a fallen firefighter. But heroism wasn't limited to those in uniform. Wells Crowther, a 24-year-old equities trader and volunteer firefighter, was working on the 104th floor of the South Tower. In the chaos of the 78th high-floor sky lobby, he became a beacon of hope, known only as the man in the red bandana. He used his signature red bandana, a gift from his father, to cover his nose and mouth from the thick smoke. With a calm voice, he organized and directed dazed survivors to the one passable stairwell. After leading one group down, he repeatedly went back up the stairs into the smoke to find and guide more injured people to safety, saving at least 10 lives before the tower fell. His identity remained a mystery for months, a heroic figure in survivor accounts. It wasn't until his mother read a description of him in the newspaper that his family, and the world, learned the full story of his incredible courage. As the towers fell, lower Manhattan was cut off. Bridges and tunnels were closed, stranding hundreds of thousands of people amidst a cloud of toxic dust. The only way out was by water. The U.S. Coast Guard put out an urgent, unprecedented call for all available boats to assist in the evacuation. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Ferries, Coast Guard cutters, private yachts, fishing boats, and tugboats converged on the island in a spontaneous maritime rescue. In what became the largest sea evacuation in history, greater even than the evacuation of Dunkirk in World War II, an estimated 500,000 people were rescued from Manhattan by this civilian flotilla. It was a powerful, unscripted example of ordinary people coming together in an extraordinary crisis. In the hours and days that followed, a wave of global solidarity washed over the United States. Leaders from across the globe offered profound condolences and unequivocally condemned the attacks. For the first and only time in its history, NATO invoked Article 5 of its charter, declaring the attack on the U.S. an attack on all member nations. In London, Queen Elizabeth II broke with centuries of tradition, ordering the American national anthem played at Buckingham Palace. In Berlin, a city once divided by the Cold War, 200,000 people gathered at the Brandenburg Gate to stand with America. And in Paris, the newspaper Le Monde captured the global sentiment with a simple, powerful headline: Nous sommes tous Américains. We are all Americans. This spirit of kindness was nowhere more apparent than in Gander, Newfoundland. When U.S. airspace was shut down, 38 international flights were diverted to this small Canadian town. Suddenly, nearly 7,000 passengers and crew, the plain people, were stranded, almost doubling the town's population. The town of Gander responded without hesitation. They opened their schools, community centers, and most remarkably, their private homes, providing food, clothing, and comfort. For 5 days, strangers became family. This extraordinary hospitality, born from a moment of global fear, became an enduring symbol of human kindness and a powerful counter-narrative to the hatred that fueled the attacks. In the hours following the attacks, a profound and surreal silence fell over the United States as all air traffic was grounded. On the ground, profound shock and grief washed over the nation. People stood frozen on city streets, their faces a mixture of disbelief and sorrow, trying to comprehend the incomprehensible. But alongside sorrow, a powerful sense of patriotism emerged. It wasn't just anger, it was a deep-seated need to come together, to show solidarity in the face of hatred. A nation refusing to be broken. In a powerful display, partisan divides dissolved. On the steps of the U.S. Capitol, members of Congress gathered. They stood shoulder to shoulder and in a moment of unscripted unity, spontaneously sang "God Bless America," a harmony of national resolve. It was a moment of unscripted unity, a country coming together. This was reflected in the most visible symbol of all, the American flag. Suddenly flags appeared everywhere, draped from overpasses, waving from car windows, and planted in front yards as a statement of shared identity. The desire to help was overwhelming. People lined up for hours to donate blood, so many that centers were flooded with support. Volunteers from every state drove or flew to New York City. Construction workers, doctors, and citizens all headed toward Ground Zero with one purpose: to help. As night fell, candlelight vigils provided quiet spaces for communities to mourn together. Strangers stood side by side, sharing the flickering light of a candle, finding solace not in words, but in shared presence and a profound sense of community. The search and rescue effort at Ground Zero became the focal point. For weeks, rescue workers and volunteers worked tirelessly on The Pile, a treacherous landscape of twisted steel and concrete. They worked under hazardous conditions, breathing toxic dust, driven by hope of finding someone alive. As hope faded, their work shifted to bringing the victims home. A solemn ritual developed. Whenever remains were found, work would stop. An honor guard would form, and the remains would be carried from the site with the utmost dignity and respect. An ecosystem of support sprang up around them. Restaurants provided free meals to rescue workers around the clock. People sent letters of support and donations, including drawings from children, their colorful messages of hope, a stark contrast to the gray dust of Ground Zero. Americans responded not with panic, but with deep community spirit. The attacks were meant to tear the country apart. Instead, they brought the nation together in a way not seen in generations, reminding everyone of their shared identity. The flag became a symbol of shared loss and national resolve. In the heart of a city that never sleeps, there is a place of profound stillness. Here, we remember September 11th. We come to this sacred ground not just to mourn, but to honor the 2,977 innocent lives so violently taken from us. Each one a unique story, a cherished family member, a friend, a colleague. Their absence created a void that can never be filled, but their memory inspires a promise: to never forget. Where the Twin Towers once reached for the sky, two immense reflecting pools now cascade into the earth. They sit in the exact footprints of the towers, a visceral representation of absence. The sound of the falling water is constant, a murmur that both masks the city's noise and speaks of unending grief. Around the perimeters of these voids, the names of the victims are inscribed in bronze. They are not listed alphabetically but arranged through a system of meaningful adjacencies, reflecting where they were on that day and the relationships they shared. Colleagues, flight crews, and first responders side by side, forever. A simple, poignant tradition brings a touch of life to the cool bronze. A single white rose placed on a name. Each morning, the memorial staff identifies the names of victims whose birthday it would have been, and places a rose there. It's a small gesture that speaks volumes, a personal acknowledgement that behind every inscribed name is a life that was lived, celebrated, and is still deeply missed. Annually, on the anniversary of the attacks, the nation pauses. At Ground Zero, at the Pentagon, and in the quiet field of Shanksville, Pennsylvania, solemn ceremonies unfold. The most powerful and heart-wrenching of these traditions is the reading of the names. For hours, family members step forward, their voices often trembling with emotion, to speak the name of their loved one. It is a marathon of remembrance, a sacred roll call that transforms a staggering statistic back into individual human beings. This ritual ensures that each life is personally acknowledged, their memory spoken into the world once more. But remembrance is not only about looking back in sorrow. In the years since, September 11th has also been designated a National Day of Service and Remembrance. It's a concept born from the spirit of unity that emerged from the rubble. This day encourages people across the country to volunteer and perform acts of charity. It is a powerful and constructive way to honor the victims and pay tribute to the heroes, transforming a day of tragedy into a day of positive action. To remember is to recall the profound lessons of that day. It laid bare our vulnerability, but in that same moment, it revealed our incredible resilience. The attacks may have showcased the worst of humanity, but the response brought out its very best. We saw unimaginable courage in the face of absolute terror, as first responders ran into collapsing buildings. We witnessed profound compassion among strangers, as people on the street helped one another without a second thought. The tragedy revealed a deep well of human goodness and a powerful sense of community that shone through the darkness. Now, a crucial part of the legacy is to teach the next generation, for whom 9/11 is not a memory, but a historical event. We must pass down the story of the day the world changed, not to sow seeds of fear or hatred, but to foster understanding, empathy, and a commitment to peace. The 9/11 Memorial and Museum serves this vital educational mission, helping visitors comprehend the events and explore the continuing impact of that day on our world. The legacy of September 11th is complex, but at its heart, the message of remembrance is simple and resolute. Never forget. Never forget the thousands of lives cut short. Never forget the heroes, the firefighters, the police officers, the paramedics, and the ordinary people on Flight 93 who became extraordinary. And never forget the powerful sense of unity and hope that bound a nation and the world together, providing the strength to heal and rebuild. In remembering, we look back not only at the darkness and the pain, but at the enduring light of the human spirit that emerged from it, a light that continues to guide us forward.